there is a Roman road mystery right here in this very landscape.
That is really weird, isn't it?
No one has solved this mystery to date. In fact, I've been coming here for the best part of 10 years trying to solve it myself. You see, Roman roads in theory should be quite simple and efficient. You have two places you want to join up. You survey the route and broadly you join them up, maybe with an angle or two in the middle. And that's exactly what happened here. A road was built north from Winchester and another was built south from Marlborough. They were supposed to meet here in this area, but they just didn't.
Yeah, I was about to say, that is bizarre.
Just as they approached this area, just as they were about to meet one another, something dramatic changed. They both suddenly abandoned the straight lines that they had been following for miles and turned sharply to the west. But look at the route they took. If the Romans intended to pass around the western side of this valley, then why wait to turn here? Why not leave the original alignment much earlier and head straight for that western ridge? That would have been the most obvious Roman engineering solution to my mind, but instead we ended up with this really weird, awkwardly shaped Roman deviation for miles around here. That doesn't feel Roman at all. But then in the last couple of weeks, somebody pointed something out to me that I'd completely missed from all of this. Over 10 years of looking into this.
Do you want a theory on this?
Okay, did you see exactly what Adam just saw there? Well, don't panic if you didn't. We'll come back to that very shortly, because what he saw may well prove the existence of something that I have categorically said does not exist. But not only that, it may also help us solve this mystery once and for all. Okay, so that was a messy intro. Let me try and explain. So we're here in central southern Britain, once the Roman province of Britannia. And of course, I used to cycle around here a lot as a kid. Specifically here, this was always known as one of the weirdest Roman roads in the country. In fact, it was known as a unique Roman road because of what it did. You see, Roman roads don't normally look like this, far from it. From Winchester in the south, the road heads north on an almost perfect straight line. And from Marlborough in the north, well, another Roman road heads to the south. Now, if you project those two Roman roads as joining one another, well, they should meet somewhere here in this landscape, but they don't. They project towards each other and then take an immediate deviation off to the west. They follow the broad sweeping curve of nearly 3 miles before eventually rejoining the original alignment. They both take an immediate deviation off of their alignment. Now that's a problem, because if this detour was always part of the Roman plan, then why not head to that apex in the first place? Well, why carry two beautifully surveyed Roman roads, and they really are, from different directions to meet each other, and then at the last minute completely abandon them? So we have an immediate, seemingly change of heart from the Romans, which isn't very Roman. Now, I've seen nothing like this on any other Roman road here in Britain or anywhere else, come to think of it. And as Adam Morgan Ibsen points out,
I tell you why that can't be right, because I'm from the Lake District where we have much bigger hills.
Exactly,
and they do not deviate like that.
Well, if like me, like Adam and like many others before have suggested that no, the Romans wouldn't do that, they'd have carried straight on. Well, let's assume they did. Do we have any evidence for that happening at all? So did the Roman road actually carry on right through this valley? It's just been ploughed out over the years. Well, I came here a number of years ago to try and ask that very question. The farmer allowed me access here a few years ago. Now, sadly, it's owned by an American billionaire who won't let you walk on the footpaths without security approaching you, so there's no chance of that again. But here. Now, if the Roman road did go in a straight line and continue on, not going on that deviation, we would expect to see a break in this linear feature. This is Grimm's Ditch, and it's a good 800 years older than the Roman road. And amazingly, we do see a break. But not only that, we also see a terrace feature on the LiDAR. Again, this lines up with the Roman road. So that gap is around 2.5 to 3 miles. What other evidence do we have? Well, nothing. There's literally no other traces of a Roman road through the middle of that valley where you'd expect to find the Roman road. What evidence though do we have for actually doing what we think it does and taking this immediate deviation, this huge semicircle? Well, it turns out quite a lot. Now, before the road reaches the valley, it behaves exactly as you would expect it to. The Roman road cuts straight through everything in its path, even Iron Age archaeology. It heads directly towards Hampshire Gate Hill Fort, Beresburg, without the slightest concern for the prehistoric landscape around it. And yet, then there is the valley itself. If we draw a line where we'd expect the Roman road to go, well, this is full of Iron Age filled systems, and if the Roman road did come through here, we would absolutely expect disruption in here somewhere. And then there's the actual road. Once it turns west on the southern deviation point, something changes. First we turn west, well, you can literally see the Roman road in the person or on LiDAR turning west. I've never seen anything like this before. That is a curve in the Roman road. Secondly, look at the actual road itself. It might be easier from a drone shot, but nevertheless we have a lot of remarkably straight sections and then a quick curve and then straight and then curve, straight, curve. Now if you're circumnavigating this valley in any era, you're not building a road like that, even today's era. This very much speaks of a Roman engineered road, and of course we've got a load of quarries next to it. They're said to be quarries from that Roman era that built up the Roman road. Okay, so we've established this Roman road is strange, probably unique, but what we have established as well, that it's almost certainly Roman, and that's not just my opinion, that is of many antiquarians of old, the Margrews of the world, the Cunningtons. It's on the current OS maps marked as Roman. So the question isn't, is this a Roman road? We're almost certainly sure it is. The question, moreover, is why exactly did they do this?
So you're saying, down like this, it's hitting here.
Yep.
And the Roman road is curling like a modern A road.
Yep.
Perfectly round here.
So for years these deviations have always bothered me. Now when you look at the southern one back over that way, well, it kind of makes sense. The Roman engineers rocked up, saw the big valley that dipped straight into and said, okay, well, we need to head west and go around this. I don't like that. It's not Roman, it's not planned. They didn't do that in a big way, they would just build a terrace. But nevertheless, back to that shortly, because this one here, the northern of those deviations, is completely different. Well, that doesn't behave like that at all. It leaves its straight alignment long before it has to, long before it needs to. There's nothing forcing it to turn here. So why didn't it? Well, the Roman road comes from that little ridge there in the hedge line all the way from the north there, and it comes all the way up to where I'm stood right now, and then it takes that deviation right here in front of me, and right here in front of me is the thing that I'd missed for all those years, 10 yards away from me. And it wasn't until I had that conversation with Adam that I then realised.
Do you want a theory on this? I'm wondering if this whole thing around here is Iron Age, and it carries on up here, and when the Roman road hit it, they said, F it, we'll just use that for that bit. And then when they got round it, they said, right, we'll carry on our Roman road now.
So I stopped looking at the Roman road and started looking at the road it was following, because it doesn't really look Roman. It isn't made up of those long, purposeful Roman alignments. Instead, it follows a broad, gentle curve through the landscape. So then we noticed something else, something really important. So the Roman road would have come through that field up to here, on this road here, at like a 35-degree angle. But this road, the gentle curve of this road, which goes through here and on that way, well, it pays no attention to the Roman road. This is not altered in any way by the adjoining Roman road. That would imply that this road came first, that this road could be Iron Age, or maybe even older. That's a significant problem for me personally, because if Adam is right and this does predate the Roman road, certainly this section, I may have to eat my own hat. Okay, so this is where things get a bit awkward, because one of the biggest myths about Roman roads is that they didn't really build them. They just sort of took over prehistoric routes, straightened them up, tidied them up, and claimed it as their own.
Who invented straight roads? Alan.
The Romans.
Oh.
But when you scratch the surface of that, there's hardly any evidence of that happening at all. I think I've got one example I know of, and that happened over a very short distance, maybe two, but it's very tenuous. Really didn't happen. In fact, most Roman roads in Britain are exactly what you would expect from the Roman engineers. They ignore existing landscape, they cut straight through earlier boundaries, fields and even hill forts, and strike out an entirely new alignment. And about a year ago I made a video on why that simply wasn't the case, an entire video trying to find examples, but I couldn't. As I say, maybe one very tenuous one. It simply didn't happen, and yet here I am now on what might be another exception to that rule. It follows one continuous unbroken curve through the landscape. It isn't aiming for a Roman junction. In fact, it carries straight past it, and then it heads towards another long barrow. Actually, it heads between another long barrow just up there on the hill, so we've got another one maybe 2 miles that way, one just here. Now, of course, I'm not saying that means means this trackway is Neolithic, but unequivocally it has this one long continuous curve and the Roman road just stops at it. Therefore that continuous curve is older than the Roman road, therefore it's at least Iron Age. So with this new insight, what exactly happened here? Why did the Romans take this immediate deviation, and why am I going to have to eat my hat after this video? Okay, so here is exactly what I think happened with this new information at hand. Now, I'd love to know what you think as well. This is only a hypothesis. So, Roman roads themselves were never designed to be perfectly straight. Across Britain, we see small corrections where survey teams working from opposite directions would have met. A tiny adjustment, a few degrees, usually somewhere between two towns. They're subtle, but they are there. Everywhere, especially here in the south of England. And I think this was always the plan. The surveyors marked out the route from Winchester to Marlborough, and they were always going to meet somewhere in this valley. Those two alignments would have met with a small correction, just like countless other roads we mentioned before. But they never did. Something here, dramatic change, and I don't think it's as simple as a steep valley or a wet valley. The Romans were better than that. They were more engineered than that. Maybe we'll never know, I don't know. But the point is, the routes were already really well underway. The southern road had been built almost to the valley. The northern road was advancing south. Now, abandoning this project wasn't an option, clearly. So instead, they took another solution. And right here, well, they found one. They found a route that was already in existence, and they didn't try to impose Roman geometry on it. They just picked it up and used it, at least on this northern part of this sort of deviation, this semicircular deviation. Now the southern engineers, though, they had a different problem altogether. I don't believe there was a trackway there at all. Their problem was now, well, they were nearly already there, then the deviation took place for whatever reason. They then had to meet this Iron Age trackway, and they did by a series of joined up short straight stretches. So that southern section of new Roman road would go all the way along that south section up until it met the Iron Age trackway that's here just behind us to complete that semicircle. And I've never seen anywhere else sort of correctional Roman engineering at such a late stage in the road's construction. If you're wondering what it is that I'm stood on right now, well, this is Tidcombe Longbarrow. Sadly, 1750, this was completely robbed out, dug out down the middle here in the hope that they would find treasures. Sadly, probably all they found were remains, human remains. Makes me a bit sad really that they did that, because now there's nothing left for anyone to learn or understand from. There's just a couple of sarsen stones at the front. So I'm not convinced we will ever know why the Romans took this unplanned and immediate deviation like they did here. This is unique in my mind, and as I sit here now I'm looking at this Iron Age trackway which the Romans adopted, and I said they didn't do that, so I will indeed eat my own hat. That's a discovery, and that goes down in the name of Adam Morgan Ibsen, who clearly visualised that when we were looking at the LiDAR. So we have a behind the scenes YouTube members section and a Patreon, and we're trying to sort of improve that and make it better and a bigger community. It's become something of part of what we do now. We have a Discord you can join. It's a monthly subscription, and you get to sort of have that warm fuzzy feeling of knowing that you're helping make these weekly videos for us. We love doing it. We want to continue doing it. It becomes more and more difficult financially because YouTube, certainly this time of the year, don't pay you as much as what they probably should do. So yeah, you can help out. You can join the behind the scenes community, YouTube members, or the Patreon. We'll put the links to both those below. And of course, if that's not for you, then fine. Just click subscribe, carry on watching. We'll see you this time next week.